Hello, hello, hello. And here I am with my new growing locks and a new relationship to my hair, my crown, my Ori, myself that's coming online. And I've been talking about lately in my work grief and reorienting ourselves to a new relationship to grief because in the society that we live in many of these Western societies and globally, right? We're in a very specific moment that is riddled with so much grief, especially for people who are racialized as Black, especially for people who are racialized as Black or Indigenous, are people of the global majority, and on top of that are dealing with the multiple intersections of what it means to live within colonial societies, settler colonial societies, to be gendered under patriarchy. There's a lot of grief in this collective moment, and grief is the one thing that Western modalities do not give us many tools to handle and grapple with. And so in order to try to survive, Toni Morrison says we don't survive, well, after we don't survive whole, we survive in part. But even to survive in part wholly, we must reconstruct tools to help us reckon with grief in ways that do not poison our bodies, and then we do not become poisonous elements in our community. So, to that end, let's talk more about grief. One thing that comes through for me is I've always had this image of women like a Toni Morrison, like a Maya Angelou. And you look at these women who, for me, were elders, these older women who've passed through so many phases of their own personal journeys, so many phases of United States society, these Black women. And when you look in their eyes, especially in their later years, what you feel is a wealth of wisdom, but what I can feel is also a wisdom that has come at a cost, comes at a price. And this wisdom exerts itself to me in this image I always held is like a woman who, in spite of the world being on fire, sits in a rocking chair, continues to rock, and maybe hums. And while the rest of us are like, why are you not scared? Why are you not moving? And she is like, I have lived through the end of worlds so many times. I know that when the world falls apart, to not fall apart with it. I always considered this an elder woman wisdom. That's always how I saw it embodied, to be still, to get still when things get frantic. And it's something I wanted for myself. And when I was young and recently left a marriage and have two young children that I have to caretake and have no idea how I'm going to survive. And I'm only 27 at this time. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I had written on a card, I am a woman of extreme faith, because I thought if I knew that things would be okay, if I knew that in my soul, down to the marrow of my being, I would move through the world differently. And I wouldn't need the world to be different. I know that I need to be different. And I have grappled, I guess, in this desire, in this journey, intention to become this woman of extreme faith, have learned what it takes to become a woman of extreme faith, which is you learn to walk through the fire, and you learning how to drown. And one of the things that, spurred by the teachings of Elder Malidoma Somé, who's now an ancestor, is the idea of poise. He talks about in the lecture in The Forgotten Art of Drowning how the Christian posture gave us this desire that when things get difficult, it gave us the posture of beggars, in a sense, right? Begging a God, begging to have relief, begging God to intervene on your behalf. This positionality of the beggar, right? Get down on your knees. I was given the concept of the prayer closet, right? As you go and you lock yourself into a room and you get down on your knees and you wail to the creator to come and assist you. And so for many years I did this type of surrender posture of begging and praying maybe a similar prayer to Jesus, like, if you can move this cup from me, if you can take this suffering off my plate. And I was looking for that kind of relief. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you how shattering it was to have never received that type of relief. To know that the things in which I'm afflicted with are so much bound to how I am viewed physically within a system of extraction that can readily identify me as someone to funnel towards further extraction, wage slavery, wage disparity, lack of caretaking support, a single mother, misogyny, misogynoir, uh, gender pay disparity, disparity for being a caretaker. You're stacking, 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 stacking experiences. And what I wanted was for something to magically come and lift this off my plate. And what I got instead was something I did not want. But now at 40, in a different age and time, I understand that what I am being given, what was being given through these circumstances, was not refining the positioning of a beggar begging someone to come and take it. Was I was being asked to stand up. And that if you know what you are connected to, if you know that you are embodying a divine energy, if you know that you are set here for purpose, whether you believe that in a Christian context or in the indigenous African context, where the idea is that we've come from an ancestral realm, we have answered a call across time to come and incarnate here at this time in our bloodline to do work and unleash something that the world needs, that our community, our village, our collective needs at this time. That us being here was the purposeful act, that we didn't need to search for it, that the being was the purpose to be here now. And if I knew that, if I felt that I was part and parcel of something divine, that I did not need to ask and solicit it and beg it to come and aid me, that I could stand up, look at my problem as an equal, and what I needed was at hand because what I needed was within me, that I had it, that the medicine that I carry is equal to any problem that should arise. And when I see a problem, what I am looking at is the next way that my medicine will be unleashed in the world. And that this problem right now that seems large is my equal and soon will be lesser than me. I have so often felt overwhelmed by the problems of our time. And I see this so much, so often, especially in people racialized as white, who have just come to the reckoning that the society that they live in is extremely toxic and grotesque, and say, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And the recognition that oppressed peoples around the world have been able to hone through painful, painful initiations into power is a recognition that I am already a descendant of peoples who knew that survival was not a hope, it was mandatory. It was mandatory. I am here because there were a people who considered their life purposeful enough to protect it, to survive, so that I can be, in spite of all odds, that there is a lineage within me of peoples who know how to continue forward. And it's the posture. I was pregnant, unexpectedly so, unhappily so, in the second and third um, ritual containers or experiences I had with Elder Malidoma Somé. And the only thing he said to me about it is he said, "You're carrying an ancestor. Put your head up. Carry it with dignity. And that is the posture where we actually become medicine keepers. That is the posture when we become death walkers. That is the posture of when we become teachers and healers and griots and guides at the end of worlds, is that the difference in posture is the thing. The world will fall apart. It will burn. The apocalypses that happen to us personally, the ends of worlds that happen in these moments of extreme transition from death to illness to children to divorce, whatever way that this happens, the difference between the women who become Maya Angelou, the people who become Toni Morrison, and the people who will continue to spiral is that it is a difference of posturing, not a difference of circumstance. I wanted God, Jesus, to change my circumstance. And what I needed was the me to change. I needed to change my posture. I needed to change my posture. I needed not to become a beggar. I needed not to lessen myself to become small in the face of large problems. I needed to look at problems in the face and declare them my equal and say, my medicine will make me larger than you in time. And my medicine will be perfected when I unsheath it and use this problem as the training ground for becoming someone of extreme faith, for becoming someone who can drown and not die. It wasn't to stop drowning, it was to stop searching for air and to grow gills. I said that in the previous video, but that really means something to me. Oftentimes, we are just in the wrong posturing. We're drowning and we want air. Instead of drowning and saying, well, then I guess I must grow gills. I don't know what's happening. Well, then I guess I must be an expert at the mystery. I guess if I can't see, I guess I must be someone who doesn't need sight. And what else is here for me? But to trust that we are not left here alone. And that's been difficult for me. And for many of us who colonize and oppress peoples, it's not uncommon that we come from families who have a lot of fracture emotionally, either distance because of immigration or migration. And it can feel as if we are alone. And within Western societies that are so individualistic, where we think that our survival is something that we only must attend to, and not to recognize that there are at our disposal even land, even the earth itself that has decided to not swallow us whole, the waters that have decided to not submerge us and drown us and drag us out to sea or swarm our territories, is the support we're looking for. That there may be supporters around us that we do not have eyes to see yet, that we have ancestors. I mean, going back 16 generations, we have up to 100,000 ancestors. People who come before us. We have ancestors who are tasked specifically with seeing to our destiny, seeing to our purpose, to supporting us in the direction of our purpose. According to the Dagra, indigenous African belief, and according to their cosmology, this is their idea about this. But no matter how I want to envision this and whatever spiritual cosmology I want to draw from, whether it's spiritual or not, I do get to redefine the way in which I look at the world that positions me as being supported and not an individual. I get to be part of an ecosystem, whether that is connection to land, waters, stars. I love Bookman's prayer. This is reportedly the prayer that Bookman said at the Bois Quémon ceremony. This is the Vodou ceremony that launched these enslaved African peoples to revolt against the harsh system of enslavement. on the island of Haiti, in the land that we call Haiti today. This Vodou ceremony that kicks it off. And it's so interesting that in this prayer, actually, let me read it to you. Let me see if I can find the language for it, but I think it's important enough that I want to read it to you. And what is really critical to me is that it's the way in which the belief and the view of what it is to be connected is giving